Welcome to the Fit Dad Nation podcast, forging strong fathers and raising a stronger generation. It's time to get up or shut up with your host, Steve Roy.
Hey guys, this is Steve Roy, the host of the Fit Dad Nation podcast. Welcome to the show. Thanks for listening. Before I introduce today's guest, I just want to take a quick moment to invite all you dads who are listening right now and who are ready to start taking action on reclaiming your health and fitness and becoming better fathers and better men to join our free online community. And the best way to do that is to apply to our free private Facebook group, which can be found at fitdadnation.com/community. So today I have a member of our Fit Dad Nation community with me. His name is Jason Childs. So Jason isn't a fitness pro, an elite athlete, or any kind of guru. He's a regular dad of two who has committed to becoming the best version of himself, and he's been part of our groups and challenges for a little while now. And it's been really inspiring to see his dedication to himself and to his family. So Jason, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Steve. I appreciate it.
Yep, you got it. So, I'm hoping you can just share a little about your backstory with us today. And I got to tell you, I just really admire your commitment and the dedication that you have to yourself, not only just to become a healthier dad, but to be a healthy role model for your teenage son and daughter. So, yeah, I'd love to hear how, you kind of started down on this path and where you came from.
Okay. Sure. Again, like I say, I appreciate just being on here. I'm 41. I've been married for, we're going on 18 years. My son's 15. My daughter's 13. When I was a teenager, I was kind of involved at the YMCA. I was, working out there, and I was doing different things there, volunteering and stuff like that. Kind of got away from that into my early 20s, and throughout my 20s and 30s, just did a lot of. I was involved in a lot of things, typical dad stuff, coaching and. Getting involved in different activities and whatnot, but not really taking care of myself so much, other than the odd. I'd go in spurts where I'd go jogging once in a while, or I'd try to, just do more activities with the kids and that sort of thing. Of course, we went in spurts of healthy eating for a while, and then we'd get away from that and back and forth. But the last couple of years, there's been a few wake-up calls. Even prior to that, I got diagnosed with lupus about 10 years ago, or a little bit more than that. I got diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis about 4.5 years ago. So these are some wake-up calls that made me think, well, I should be taking care of my health. But last year, my brother passed away at the age of 50. Or one of my brothers. I'm the youngest of 7 in my family. He passed away at the age of 50, and I'm going, well, we didn't see that coming at all. I realized that I was really letting myself go. Started drinking a little bit more. Was never an alcoholic, anything that someone would call an alcoholic, but I like to have a couple beers or more on my days off, and had some kind of a rough time there in my life. And I think by last September, I realized, well, I want to start making some changes here, and started doing some home workout programs. But then in October or so, I got kind of in a bit of depression after I got a phone call that made me think that my health was taking a downward spiral. And once that happened, I said, well, fuck this, and I'm just going to let everything go. But that was the worst thing to do. And then thankfully around Christmas, I had a talk with my doctor, and he cleared things up. He said, no, your health is actually fairly good. Just kind of reminded me to take care of myself. And so right after Christmas, I started looking up more home workout apps, started getting into taking care of myself a little bit more, but I was starting to work out at home, maybe 10, 20 minutes a day, got up to about 30 minutes a day. And then honestly, I started looking for podcasts to listen to, especially while I'm at work and stuff. And thankfully I came across this one. I think even though I knew that I should have been eating healthier, I think just some of the things I was hearing through your podcast, and then some of the things I was reading and hearing on, here and there, just made me realize, no, I have to clean up the diet too. Somebody has to be an example to the kids, and that somebody has to be me. I need to take care of myself. I don't want to be like my brother who passed away at the age of 50. I want to be around for, as my kids grow older, as they have kids of their own. I want to be around for all these milestones. Yeah.
I mean, that's terrifying. And you just said it right there. I think so many of us, including me, it's my biggest fear is dying prematurely from something, and not being around to see our kids grow up and get married and all the things that we want to be a part of. Yeah. And like for you losing your brother at 50, that's not that far off from you. I mean, I'm 47. People are dropping dead left and right at my age from different, heart disease and other things. And yeah, we have a lot of that under our control, and some of it isn't, of course, and you have some actual health issues that are going to require you to really take care of your lifestyle and your diet. But for most guys listening that don't have those things, there's no real sense of urgency, like, holy shit, I have to start taking care of myself or else. For you have it, it's huge. But sometimes, hey, I want to look better. I want to feel better. I want to be a better role model for my kids. I want to live longer. Yes, we all want those things, but not enough people are taking it seriously, like, okay, this has to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen you come into this group. You started in our free private group, the Base Camp, Fit Dad Base Camp, and you were just super active, engaged, sharing, and then you joined our private membership community, the Inner Circle, Fit Dad Nation Inner Circle, and the same thing. And so you're one of the few guys that I've really seen just really take full responsibility for your health. And you're just like really putting in work every day, and you fuck up, you talk about it, you share it. A lot of guys, when they screw up or they're off their diet or they've done something they feel is bad, they disappear. They just stop responding. They don't post, and you're one of the guys. And I think that it's been one of the reasons you've been so successful, is you're consistent with it, and you're posting your wins and your losses. I have a lot of respect for you because of that.
Well, I think that's the thing. That's you mentioned a lot about accountability, and I think that's what we really have to. That's something that I really need, because like a lot of people, I don't have a lot of like within my close circle of family and friends and coworkers, and that there's not a lot of people that I can really talk to about, health and fitness related subjects, or gains and losses and all that. And I just find that that has been kind of the biggest, I guess, motivator for me right now, is just having a group that that I feel like I can talk to, and people that are going through some of the same struggles and kind of understand.
Mm-hmm.
The accountability is huge.
Yeah, people underestimate that. Everything that I do now is in groups. I used to do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and the results are fine, but it's so much more powerful when you get a group of guys together. In this case, specifically dads, we're all in our 30s and 40s. Most of us have the same issues. And you're part of this tribe, and we can call each other out on our bullshit, but we're there for accountability, because we're all going to succumb to the same things, having those beers, hitting that cookout. It's just a recurring theme, and being part of this. So, for those listening, I would encourage you to join a tribe. Doesn't have to be this tribe, but we do have a great group of guys, but be around like-minded people, in a positive way, of course. And it's amazing.
Oh, it totally is. Like I said in a post recently, I said, I would like to say that it's life changing right now, but it's only been a few months for me. I definitely think it's life altering, and I'd like to stick around, for 5-10 years or more, or in the group, or however long the group is around for, and definitely be able to say sometime down the road, yes, this was absolutely life changing for me. Like I say, like for me, my diet's not perfect by any means, but the one thing that I've definitely noticed is when I do slack off, I feel it more. The one day I said I'd had a couple beers the night before, and before, like, those beers wouldn't have really affected me so much, and where now when I went to work out the next morning, it was like, holy shit, what's wrong with me? Like, oh, well, the only thing that's really different is those 2 beers that I had. And that's not to say I'm never going to have another beer, but I noticed it, and I think that once you start cleaning up your diet and once you start eating the way that we should, it seems like your body just almost rejects the toxins that we're putting in.
Yeah, it's funny. I talk about something where we want to get to a point where all those foods, like the unhealthy foods, beer, all that stuff, taste bad. For most of us, stopping McDonald's or getting a cherry pie, whatever, tastes amazing. But if you can get to a point where it actually tastes horrible, that's where we want to be, and it's kind of along the lines of what you're just saying. And you had written something about one of your biggest fears, other than dying early, was losing the consistency or in the momentum you've built up, and then reverting back to being the unhealthy Jason and not being the role model for your kids. And again, this ties back into finding a tribe, your tribe of people. Because doing it on your own is it can be done. I've had success with it myself, but I've just seen over the course of my 22 years in this business of how much more powerful it is when you're part of, even if it's a very small group of just a handful of guys or people, or a big group, keeping you consistent. The role in that is huge, because it's so easy, and I've seen it. All the time. I see it all the time. Guys they're doing great, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, they're back to where they started, and they've given up, and they said, screw it. And so it's all about consistency. We talk about this all the time in the group, right? Consistency beats intensity. You can't, train your ass off for a week, a month, or even a year. You have to make this a permanent part of your life. You don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to train crazy. You don't have to give up all the food you love. Nothing like that. You just have to make some better decisions and be just insanely consistent with it over time, and you're going to be just fine.
Yep, that's right. Exactly. Like for me, I keep thinking about, well, summer's coming up, and summer is camping season, and camping season is sitting around the campfire, and that that's where a lot of times in the past it's been, well, let's sit around the campfire and have a beer or 2 or 3 or whatever, and we're eating sausages, and we're eating pizza, and we're eating just whatever, chips and everything else, right? And and now as I look ahead to that, at first I was really, really fearful. I thought, if I'm gonna slide, that's probably when and where. But now, as I'm looking ahead to that, I'm realizing, no, you know what? There's still things that I can do when I'm at camp. There's still things that we do a lot of hiking when we're out there, but there's nothing stopping me from doing body weight exercises on the beach.
Yeah.
We have probably about a 4-mile long beach right next to the campground that most of it, even at the busiest times, there's nobody there, but I go over a lot of times early in the morning with the dog, and we'll walk the beach and let the dog swim, that sort of thing. But I'm realizing there's all that length of beach. I can do all kinds of body weight exercises. I can bring a water jug over there. I can and do some of those exercises, some of the water jug exercises that you have videos of. And now, as I feel like as I don't have the desire so much now for the breads and for the alcohol and everything, I feel like I'll probably be able to withstand that and kind of get through that. And especially going online and going on and seeing what everybody else in the tribe is up to and seeing what they're saying, that's going to be a major, major encouragement, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and just a thing to remember is, yes, ideally you want to stay away from the foods that aren't helping your body, right? Like some of the things you mentioned. But, as we talk about all the time, if you're doing well, if you're eating high quality foods 80% of the time, 90% of the time, there should be absolutely no guilt when it comes to campfires and eating s'mores, pizza, and barbecue.
Yeah.
Even if it blows your diet up for a weekend, who cares? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, right? You're getting, a mental win too, because you're getting to some of the foods that you love the most. And it's not going to affect you long term. It's not going to put on 2 or 3 pounds of fat on your body. It may fill you up more. You may retain more water, but at the end of the day, if you go right back to your consistent, eating schedule and you're eating normal foods, you're going to be fine. So it's not like, oh my God, I'm really afraid of doing this event or whatever because it's going to blow everything up, and it's just not how it works.
Yeah, my problem with the summertime is that because I'm on a 4-day on and 4-day off schedule, and I'll go out there, and if I picked out for 4 days, I don't know. It's one thing I think if I'm doing it, say, for a day or, eating some whatever one day, but if it's 4 days and then I'm coming home and my wife and kids are still out there, so I might be just going to stop for pizza on the way home, or I might be just getting, some hot dogs at the gas station type of thing. It could become a summer-long thing for me if I'm not careful. So, but definitely there will be times where I'll have those sausages, or I'll have the s'mores, or a beer or two. That's absolutely. But
yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest, I eat like shit all the time. I mean, I love crappy food. I always have. So, I mean, we have a pizza joint right next to our house, like literally like not even a 5-minute walk. And it's got amazing everything. And I love pizza. I love calzones, like heavy stuff. I don't eat it every day, of course, but I eat it when I feel the need. And then I go back to eating normal foods and what I normally eat. And I still stay fit and lean and trim. So it's not killing my diet when I eat a calzone that has 2,100 calories in it, in 15 minutes. It's not great for me. I understand that, but at the end of the world, it's a decision. It's not the end of the world, and it's a decision that I make, and I'm still healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah. So what are some of the things as far as your habits? Like what kind of things have you developed recently in the last few months, anyway, as you started to really take your health seriously? And I know one of the habits is, you started counting your calories and your macros anyway, but I'd be curious to hear, more about that and maybe any other habits that you've started to incorporate into your life.
Okay. I was doing that for about 6 weeks, counting the calories and the macros. Kind of got away from that a little bit just recently, but I feel more comfortable just knowing right now that because I think that 6 weeks really gave me an idea of what's in what foods. So I feel like I don't necessarily need to keep track of everything right now. Just, as you've said, it's important. If you do it too often, it might become a bit of a pain. But other than that, I would say the biggest thing is when I get up in the morning, I'll have my morning coffee, but I have to do I feel like I need to do some form of physical activity early in the morning, early after getting up. So whether that's going to the gym or whether that's doing some of the AMRAP exercises down in my basement, whether that's doing hill sprints, whatever it may be. I like to get something done early so that I feel better throughout the day. And then, I just feel like through eating right and through taking care of myself, even in the evening, once, the kids are home and everybody's eaten supper and the homework is done and everything, when the kids want to go and do something, sometimes they want to go to, there's an outdoor gym in town at one of the parks. Sometimes they want to go there, or sometimes they want to go walking the dogs or whatever. I'm a lot more likely to say, yeah, let's go do that right now. Where before I felt like, as much as I always wanted to, a lot of times I didn't have the energy that I needed to be able to enjoy that.
Sure. Yeah. You mentioned, spending 6 weeks or so counting your calories, and, again, it can be a pain in the ass for sure. It's time consuming. It's not all that fun. I don't enjoy it, but I suggest it to anyone that's starting out, especially someone that doesn't have any idea how many calories they're eating or what they're eating really. I think it's such a great exercise, even for 2 to 4 weeks. 6 weeks is fine. But yeah, you log everything in, you're going to really get an understanding of what's going into your body, how much you're actually eating, and most people underestimate what they're eating. So
one of the things that was shocking to me was realizing, I'm not going to have a slice of bread right now. I'm not going to have a slice of toast, but instead I'm going to have this wrap. I'm going to have my eggs on a wrap instead. And realizing that wrap has all the exact same, it's not any healthier than that slice of toast that it was replacing. I've come to realize that I actually don't really like having toast or anything like that with my breakfast anymore, because having eggs with salsa, for example, and having a banana with it, or having an apple, having some sort of fruit or whatever, I don't know, there's a lot more flavor in so many other things than there is in toast. Although when I come downstairs and the kids are toasting something, it does still smell pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I've found that most people, and this happens almost without fail, and I've had a lot of clients over the years, I'll always ask them, tell me about your diet. How do you feel it is? You think you eat pretty healthy? Just give me a general idea. And almost everyone says, yeah, I eat pretty well. I eat pretty healthy, I think. And then they tell me what they have typically, and I start to see some problems. And then once they start logging the food, it almost always ends up with 50% carbohydrates. Most of it's processed garbage, very little protein, crappy fats. And so it's not, it doesn't sound bad when you say it, but when you start putting it into a program that actually shows you what's in there and how many calories, and it's pretty eye-opening. And I really think that anyone should try, using MyFitnessPal or something like that, one of those apps, to do it for a little while just to see. You know as well as I do, you cannot lose any weight. It's impossible if you're in a calorie surplus, and most people are overeating. That's just what we do, right? We have food at our fingertips 24/7. We're constantly eating. We're overfed. And it's impossible to lose weight when you have too many calories in your system. You cannot burn fat. And so, yeah, start tracking it and take a look, and you'll be amazed. But so as far as
don't do one of the things that I did, if I can.
Yeah.
A couple times, there were a couple times where I'd track everything all day, and then at night I'm going, I still want to have this. Maybe it's a chocolate bar or part of a cinnamon bun or whatever, but look where I'm at. And I felt so guilty about it. But even though nobody else was seeing what I was tracking, I still didn't put it in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I didn't want to see that pop up on my own numbers.
Yep.
I only did that once or twice, and then I'm going, well, wait a minute, I'm not cheating anybody except for myself here.
Oh, I'm sure most people have done that. I still have clients that use it, and I'm sure that they're leaving stuff out. Like, really? But anyway, so as far as something I love to talk about, this non-scale victories. So you're not a big guy. I'm sure you're not tied to the scale, but I'm curious to hear how you kind of judge your own progress, because I don't believe that the scale is a very good indicator of your health and your fitness. It's just one small tool, and I don't even like to use it unless you have a ton of weight to lose. Then yes, maybe, but as far as other things, strength and looking yourself in the mirror and your clothes fitting and other people saying, holy shit, you look amazing. But I'd like to hear about, how you measure your progress as you kind of go through this.
The biggest thing is my energy level. Like I said, just feeling like at night I can still do stuff with the kids and not be tired out by it. When they're trying to throw snowballs at me and running after me, trying to throw snowballs, and I can run faster than them, that's a good feeling. I just starting to see some of the muscles showing up when I'm looking in the mirror. That does definitely feel good. My wife told me last week that she was starting to see abs coming in.
All right.
On me. Yeah. So that felt really good.
Yeah. Is it affecting your relationship, like your physical relationship with your wife? Have you noticed a difference because maybe, hey, you have a little more confidence, or she's finding you maybe a little more attractive, or you're finding yourself more attractive? That's a big thing. I mean, we want to be sexier to our spouses, no doubt about it.
Yeah, we do, absolutely. I think because of she's going through some struggles right now as well. I would love to say that it has had an effect that way, but right now, not so much. She's going through some things of her own that hopefully she'll be, I guess, more active, I guess you could say, in the months to come. But we're working on that.
All right. Now, is she supportive? Because in my experience, I was married for 8.5 years. My wife wasn't into fitness at all. And so I ended up kind of giving up on myself. And if you don't have a spouse that's supportive, that at least backs you, let alone, believe in you and push you, that can just basically kill your progress and kill your motivation. And you end up being a lump of shit. So is your wife someone? Is she pushing you? Is she excited for you? Is she happy to see you getting after it and making these changes?
She seems to be happy to see me doing something about it. She's a little concerned that I think that she doesn't want to see me go over the top, so to speak. I mean, I've talked to her about the intermittent fasting a bit, and she's got concerns about that. But no, she's happy to see me being more physically active and trying to make sure that the food we have in the house is food that we should have in the house. I do probably 50% of the cooking or more, and she's happy that I take care now to make sure that there's vegetables with every meal, where I didn't do that before so much. She has concerns too. She said, well, she doesn't want to see me get too physically attractive to other people too, or something.
All right, there we go. There it is. Okay, we got a little jealous streak in there, I see.
But I don't think that, well, that's not really a major concern. So,
all right. So was the other concern was that she didn't want your life to become like all consuming about fitness? Is that where you were headed with that before that?
Yeah, they're all consuming about fitness, or, not being so, not getting to the point where I'm not fun.
Yeah, I can understand that. That does happen. I mean, I have seen it with people that they become neurotic about it, and you're like, chill out. So this past New Year's, we went down to North Carolina to see some friends of my girlfriend's, and we stayed there the night. And they had cooked a bunch of garbage, like buffalo chicken dip, and all the garbage, beers. And they were just opening up a CrossFit gym, and I don't have anything against CrossFit personally, but their CrossFit friends came over, and I'm not kidding you, they showed up with their own packaged foods. And this is like 9:00 at night. They came with chicken breast, brown rice, steamed vegetables, all perfectly portioned out in little, sections. And that is, to me, I'm like, chill the fuck out. Like, get a life. Seriously, get a life. Because that's just ridiculous. And that's just how they live their life. They're just 110% into that mentality, that lifestyle, and it takes away from everything else. It's just not fun. Not to mention they weren't particularly friendly either. I don't know if you know anything about CrossFit, but they tend to kind of stick together. So we were non-CrossFitters, so we didn't really fit into their little group. But anyway, so okay, all right, that makes sense.
For example, when we first started the Body Transformation Challenge. It's kind of funny now to think about this, but the very first week I was working on the Saturday night, and when my crew works Saturday night, every so often, one of the guys will bring in homemade lasagna, a huge, massive pan of homemade lasagna, and in his mind, it's really good lasagna. My mother followed a different recipe, I guess you could say, and so in my mind, his lasagna is okay. But everybody was going to the one room there, the conference room, to go have lasagna, and I'm going, well, just starting out on this thing. I've got all this. I had some meat. I can't remember what kind of meat I had with me that night, but I had something, and I had all this fruit and vegetables and all this stuff that I wanted to stick to. But, my one coworker that I worked directly with, he kept saying, he's going to be offended if you don't go. So, well, okay, let me fill up on what I have here, and then I'll go down for a little bit. And then I realized, well, okay, I'll have one tiny little slice just so I could say I had it. But then I'm going, then as I'm leaving the room, I'm going, well, everybody else is all, they all feel so bloated and everything because they ate so much. And I actually feel pretty good. but yeah, I kind of realized, that night I realized, okay, well, I don't want to take it overly extreme, but I need to take care of myself.
Yeah, I understand that. And to be honest, I won't call it peer pressure, but being in a social setting like that, it's tough. Even for me, like, people are always constantly, shoving food, towards me. And so I don't, I'm to a point where I don't really care if I offend somebody, because I'm like, no, that's just not what I'm going to do, but a lot of people aren't like that, they want to not hurt somebody's feelings or whatever. And yeah, so, you do have to kind of be strong in those situations because it's extremely powerful. Those social situations where you kind of feel compelled to share or eat whatever everybody else is eating, or, that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to talk to you about, not fitness related, but I want to talk about the importance of happiness outside the home, specifically at work. So, you have a good job, but you've mentioned that it's not fulfilling, right? It's not something that you want to do for the rest of your life because maybe it's not triggering your real passions. So I'm curious to hear, how this kind of plays out in your day-to-day life. I mean, like, if you're not pursuing like something that really lights you up inside, you're just kind of going through the motions of your day. To me, that's tragic. I don't think anybody should live like that, but most of us do. What's it like for you?
The good parts about the job are, the fact that I have full benefits, I have a good pay. But I look at the people that are working there, and there's nobody really there that's there because of the job. It seems like no matter whether they're somebody like me, just a factory worker on the floor, or somebody in management, 95% of the workforce there it's not fulfilling for them, in the sense that it's not something that they really enjoy going into. Most people are just going there for the paycheck and the benefits and the retirement package. It can be very, very mind-numbing, which was why that was actually the reason that I started looking at podcasts. If there is one sort of a good thing to that, it's as far as how it affects me, I think sadly I did, just get used to it. But now I'm at the point where I'm realizing, you know what? At one point, I did have dreams. I did have some goals. We, some of my coworkers and I came up with a little joke a few years ago. We said, the name of our employer, and we said the sign outside should say where all your hopes and dreams come to die. I'm starting to listen to some of the things you're saying and some of the things I'm hearing on some, other podcasts, and I'm going, that maybe there is something I can do. Maybe my goal before was always to somehow get into sporting goods retail. That was the thing back in high school. I wanted to do sporting goods retail. But, maybe there is still something I could do with that. Or just the other thing I'd like to be able to do somehow is just help people, whether it's in their day-to-day lives or whether it's, I thought about helping people with finances as maybe like a credit counselor or something like that, or helping people with fitness or whatever. I don't know. I was always a people person. So yeah, it seems, like I say, where I am now, it's the total opposite of everything that I thought I would do when I got older. So it can be kind of a little bit spirit killing, and mind numbing at the same time.
Yeah, that really bothers me to hear, stories like that, because it's so common. I mean, you're in Canada. I don't know what the job market's like, but in the U.S., there's just so many people that are just grinding out a day. I did it for a long time. And I mean, the good news is you at least have a direction of something that you may want to go into. Most people, won't even take the time to figure that out, and they'll just kind of go through their life and work a job they could care less about and retire, and that's it. But I'll just tell you, I mean, life is just too short, dude. I mean, you're not getting any younger, right? I mean, yes, you've got a good paycheck, you've got benefits, but you're sacrificing personal happiness for it. Can you do something that you actually love or like, at least, and make money and provide for your family? Of course, right? It happens every day. So, for those listening, find out what it is. And I think, not only do you have to have a passion for it, but you have to be good at it. I think that's going to play a huge role in your success. You can't, for me, if I decided I wanted to teach piano, because I actually do love piano, but I have no musical abilities, it would take me years to become decent enough to teach. And then even then I'd probably be mediocre, right? That's not my strength. Find what your strengths are, what your background is, what you're good at, and what you love. And then try to figure out, how the hell can I make this work? How can I make money doing this? And then do what you got to do. I hear it in your voice. I mean, I'd love nothing more than to hear you in 6 months say, hey, I'm doing this. I'm working on this on the side. I've got a plan. It may take a couple years, but this is what I'm doing.
And that's what I want to start looking into more and more. As I said, I'm on a 4-day on, 4-day off schedule, so I have the time to be able to, whether it's looking into things, whether it's looking into, maybe some courses or that type of thing, or actually, of course, taking the courses or taking the steps that I need to. I have the time to do that. I think it's just kind of getting over that first hurdle of actually taking that step. And first of all, figuring out what that step is, and then taking that step.
Yeah, and and I'll tell you,
when I was working my job, I was kind of like you. I was like, this is where, hopes go to die. Like, I felt like my life was literally being sucked from me when I went into the office. It was that bad. I hated it. I hated it. It doesn't sound like you probably hated it as much as I hated my job, but I felt totally trapped because, my wife at the time didn't work and she was with the kids. So it was on me, and I couldn't just quit. So I just sucked it up. And, it took me years of reading, figuring out what I wanted to do, what I was good at. I did all kinds of, this was a lot of it, unfortunately, was on the clock. I spent a lot of time researching things, and then I started writing about it. And I created a blog, and that blog got pretty popular, and it led to ultimately me opening, the Fit Dad Nation online in 2014. So it took over 4.5 years of just self-work and hustling before anything came really to fruition. So, I took the long approach. It can happen faster for sure, but you got to get working. So, yeah, that's my hope for you.
Yeah, I hope the same. That's for sure. I just something that is fulfilling would be fantastic. I've done a lot of volunteer work in the past where I was helping people in different life situations and stuff like that, and it just felt good. But if I could find something, if I could get on the right career path, boy, that would be fantastic.
You can, and I'd encourage you to start posting about it too. Use the groups. I'm sure there are actually guys in the groups that do this for a living, maybe even, guys that could help you, guide you down a certain path or whatever. But yeah, so anyway, no, I appreciate your time here, Jason. I know a lot of guys listening can resonate with what you said. I'm sure a lot of them are like, holy shit, this sounds a lot like my life. And the takeaway for me is, like me, you're a regular dad, you got a couple kids, full-time job, a regular life, but you've literally carved out time for your health and fitness every day, and you're actively getting after it every day. And that's what's really important. So thanks again, man. I appreciate you being here. And I'll chat with you in the groups.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you want more information, check out the Fit Dad Basecamp group on Facebook. And don't forget to stop by fitdadnation.com. Until next time, keep kicking ass and taking the next step. You can do this, Dad.